It's called the Land of Enchantment, but Albuquerque natives Johnny Tapia and Danny Romero, world champion prize fighters in the same weight class, are anything but enchanted with one another. This is boxing's most intense crosstown rivalry. One fighter from Albuquerque's South Valley, Johnny Tapia, one from its North Valley, Danny Romero. As boys, they trained in the same gym, but as men with very different lives, they came to represent opposite sides of their community's experience. Johnny Tapia's road through life has been marred by poverty, crime, violence, and a cocaine-created 3.5-year absence from the ring. But through it all, he sprinted through the 115-pound division to become a world champion and has never lost a prize fight. Danny Romero's journey faced no such difficulties. Nurtured and molded by his father since age 5 to be a championship fighter and model citizen, in 1995 he became the first American in 63 years to win the flyweight title. His only loss, the result of a freak eye injury. They went from being friends who respected one another to enemies who despise each other. Tonight, the fighters and their fans have traveled to Las Vegas for this Albuquerque Turf War showdown to decide who is the best junior bantamweight in New Mexico, and by extension, the world. From the Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas, Nevada, HBO Sports presents World Championship Boxing. Our night begins with a junior flyweight bout between former champion Michael Carbajal and the smallest professional boxer in the world, 4' 10" baby Jake Matlala. Then in our main event, a hometown rivalry to rival all rivalries, as fellow Albuquerqueans Danny Romero and Johnny Tapia finally come together in their battle for the junior bantamweight championship of the world. The turf war to top this generation. We look back to find similar confrontations between fighters from the same towns or cities over the years. Ike Williams, born in Trenton, later adopted Philadelphia as one of his hometowns. Chacon against Danny Little Red Lopez, Carlos Zarate against Alfonso Zamora. Just some of the fights which might have compared in historical terms to what's happening here tonight between Johnny Tapia and Danny Romero. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley. We welcome you to an HBO World Championship Boxing edition, which all of us have looked forward to for a long, long time. First, we'll see Michael Carbajal trying to bounce back from an upset loss in his most recent title defense, fighting against the colorful baby Jake Matlala from South Africa, who at 4 feet 10 inches tall claims to be the shortest professional fighter in the world. And then the long-awaited bout between Danny Romero Jr. and Johnny Tapia. During the bout and before, we'll be taking you to Albuquerque to see the scene there, where thousands of fans are gathering in various places to watch together in what amounts to a colorful piece of pageantry in the history of Albuquerque sport. Working with me as always, HBO boxing analyst Larry Merchant. And Larry, as we get ready for Tapia and Romero, so much has been written and said about the two fighters and their relationship to one another that you might think this is the second coming of Cain versus Abel. Is it really that deep a rivalry, or have we all bought in to a mountain of hype?
Jim, I don't think you could make this one up. There's absolutely no precedent amongst all of the great rivalries down through the ages of boxing when a hometown rivalry is so hot and so volatile that you can't have the fight in the hometown. We should be in Albuquerque trying to hear ourselves think amid a din of 20,000 passionate fans. There's also no precedent for a hotel pulling out of a fight. fighters pull out of fights all the time. We just heard, for example, that Ray Mercer has pulled out of the fight with Andrew Galata scheduled for next month because he has to have a neck operation on Monday. But a hotel pulling out of a fight? Well, after the rampage of a few hundred of Mike Tyson's worst friends a few weeks ago in the MGM Grand, the Hilton threw Tapia and Romero out on the street like a couple of card-counting blackjack players. So this is truly real, Jim. It's real, almost too real.
A lot of people wanted this fight to take place in Albuquerque because of the mutual decision of co-promoters Cedric Kushner and Bob Arum. It's being held here in Las Vegas instead. And as you fully gathered by now, you're about to watch an event that climaxes several storylines. The story of the ultimate dead-end kid, Johnny Tapia, who survived the murder of his mother in childhood and a 3-year suspension due to cocaine to get back to this plateau. The golden child, Danny Romero, whose father once trained Johnny Tapia in the same gym where he introduced little Danny Jr. to boxing. And the story of the city of Albuquerque, where there is so much passion attached to this fight that it was regarded as unsafe for Albuquerque to host its biggest sports event in years.
Jamie.
Well, good morning, New Mexico. Welcome to the Sports Line. This is Henry T., and you've got your sports leader, KDF, 1150 a.m. in Albuquerque. We've got a big fight coming up in the near future. Johnny Tapia, Danny Romero. What does this fight mean to you?
Well, as a citizen, I would have loved to seen it here. And as a chief of police, I think I'm kind of glad it's going to be in Vegas.
And I think that there would be troubles if it was here in Albuquerque. Yeah, Albuquerque fans are pretty rowdy. They like to, you get to see as many fights in the stands as you do up in the ring.
If it were here, and unfortunately it's not, I think we could fill University Arena, which would seat almost 20,000 for boxing. I really believe it could be filled or very close to it.
Danny Romero said no. You know, I wanted it to be the biggest fight of my life, to have it in Albuquerque, to give to the rich and the poor people in Albuquerque to see the fight.
Me, you know, trying not to have the fight in Albuquerque and stuff like that, and that had nothing to do with me. I think they made it out bigger than what it was, and I was a little upset about it because that's my hometown. That's where I live.
My life has been hard. I lost my mom at an early age. I didn't know my daddy died too. And then I lived with 6 sisters, 8 brothers. You know, I was the youngest one. It was just rough, tough. I miss her every day, every minute. I hug everybody just to get that same feeling, to show a hug. I enjoy hugging people. And I miss hugging. I miss my mom hugging me. You know, a lot of it I block out and I don't remember a lot of things.
Virginia Tapia died violently, stabbed multiple times behind a bar one night. Johnny never knew his father, and that left him to be raised by his grandparents. And Johnny cited this as a reason for his anger. I believe it's also a reason for maybe a lack of self-esteem that he can only find in boxing or through drugs.
He died twice. Well, our first year and a half together. He was always missing. I was always going to police stations, filing reports.
Each fighter I fight, I think of them, you know, hurting my mom, and it's not the right way of going, but when I know somebody really wants to try to take me out, I focus it. I get the eye of the tiger and the warrior comes in me.
What Johnny Tapia lost in his mother, he found in his wife Teresa, who gave him his last chance at dignity.
He was locked up in jail at the time, and he was confined to this little cell. And he said, you know, the way he described it to me, he was looking out the window and he was seeing all these people passing by, and he'd call me up, and I didn't want anything to do with them. My life was going on with or without him, and he knew at that time it was without him. He felt that if he didn't get out of that jail, and also he was in there for 3 months, he stayed clean. So he knew that if he could stay clean in there, well, then there was a chance for him and for us.
If Tapia is driven by the love he's missed, Danny Romero's fuel is the love he's gotten. every day from his dad.
I don't want no kid to see the bottom, because there's too much to go up for. Why see the bottom? I mean, that's not what makes you a better person.
I mean, there's morals and there's right ways of doing things. Winning, yes, is everything, but doing it the right way is another. I think if you put that all in one, it's satisfactory all the way around. And you know, with the family and the way he's taught me and the way we just vibe together, we do it the right way and we do it our way.
I remember Danny at the Police Athletic League the day his dad brought him in the gym to register him. He was 8 years old. He was adorable. And I remember his dad said, my son wants to box and he wants to box for Pal. And so he started coming in then. He learned so easy and so well. I think it was the commitment he had to the sport. He knew as an 8-year-old that he wanted to be a boxer.
Romero, come back. He wasn't back.
I've been boxing since I was 5 years old. And, I don't think anybody wakes up at that 5 years old and wants to become a boxer. It's in the blood. God gives certain talents. Obviously, mine's a talent for beating up people.
And the winner is Johnny Tapia.
I've been a volunteer trainer all my life, and that's what I do. I don't want, I don't want no rewards from it. I already got it. The icing of the cake is Danny Romero Jr. He's already done it all for me.
Two sons of the same culture, one prodigal, one proud. Two lives whose streams and tributaries would naturally, inexorably, rush toward one another.
When Johnny came back, it was a real blow to their vision of Danny being sort of the Prince of Albuquerque, having Albuquerque as his oyster. I think they had it all scripted, and when Johnny came back, it was like, hey, what are you doing in this movie? There's no part for you.
I've stuck my hand out to the Romeros, and they left it out there. Embarrassed me, big time, in front of a lot of people.
We have nothing against Johnny Tapia. We have a lot against his promoter. We don't have nothing against Johnny Tapia. He's a fighter that's in Danny's way, and we're going to take care of that July 18th.
He's not going to be able to fight after this fight. That cheekbone's going to be broken.
All the talk, all the hype for the fight is going to be brought down to me winning to begin with. So I have no problem with that.
But now it's gotten to a point where I hate him.
He's missed the point big time, and it bothers me because he can say, I hate Danny Romero. That's made him a rich man. And in another breath, he can say, please pray for me. I'm a real Christian guy, and it don't work that way.
And I wish it wasn't that way. I really don't. I wish that it was like another fight and may the best man win. But this way, I want it so bad. I feel it every night. I can't sleep. He's made this into a fight where it's, say he's going third round, third knockout, third roll. He can't knock me out. I've been through too many things already that I've been down and up.
Tonight, two children of the Mexican-American Southwest and the community that nurtured them both face a passionate and painful ceremony together. A prize fight in which the ultimate prize is respect. From the church bells of Albuquerque to the Thomas and Mack Center, where the bell for round one will sound in just a few minutes, as Johnny Tapia and Danny Romero are almost ready to go. Alrighty, so let's go to the tail of the tape now between Johnny Tapia and Danny Romero. Both of them weighed in yesterday at 114, 1 pound under the limit. Tonight, as they arrived at the Thomas and Mack Center, Tapia up to 121, Romero up to 124. Romero with a 2-inch reach advantage, 7 years younger, and in the eyes of most boxing experts, perhaps with a natural edge in punching power. Punch stat numbers, Larry.
Let's see how active they are, and you can see that Romero throws more punches, lands more punches. Tapia is an underrated as a boxer. Jabs, you can see that they both throw a lot, don't land a lot. It's not a key weapon, but Romero does use it to set up his power.
Rules of the bout with the fight judge and pharmacist Harold Letterman.
The Johnny Tapia Danny Romero fight is scheduled for 12 rounds. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you can be saved by the bell in the 12th and final round only. Jim.
Harold.